Welcome to Sleepy Time Stories. The Old Man Who Never Gave Up. The morning sun slowly rose above the small town of Green Valley. The streets were quiet and cool. Birds sang from the tall trees while a gentle breeze moved through the empty roads. Most people were still asleep, but one old man had already started his day. His name was Henry Carter. He was 72 years old. His hair was complete white and his face was covered with deep lines that told the story of a long life. His hands were rough from many years of hard work. Even though he was old, he stood up every morning before sunrise with the same goal. He wanted to earn an honest living. Henry lived in a tiny wooden house at the edge of town. The house was old but clean. He owned only a few pieces of furniture and a small kitchen where he cooked simple meals every day. His wife had passed away many years earlier. His son had moved far away and had not visited in a long time. Henry was alone, but he never allowed loneliness to steal his hope. Every morning he made a cup of warm coffee and ate 2 slices of bread. After breakfast, he put on his faded blue shirt and old work boots. He picked up his worn backpack and quietly locked the front door. Inside the backpack were a pair of work gloves, a bottle of water, a small lunchbox, and a family picture that he carried everywhere. Looking at the picture gave him strength whenever life became difficult. Henry walked through the town looking for work. Some days he helped clean gardens. Other days he carried heavy boxes for local stores. Sometimes he repaired broken fences or painted old houses. He accepted any honest job, no matter how small it was. Many people wondered why an old man still worked so hard. Some felt sorry for him, while others admired his determination. Henry always smiled and said the same words. "Hard work keeps my heart strong and my mind alive." One morning, Henry stopped in front of a busy construction site. Workers were moving wood, bricks, and bags of cement. The manager looked worried because several workers had not shown up that day. Henry walked over with confidence. "Good morning, sir. Do you need another pair of hands today?" The manager looked at the old man from head to toe. He was not sure Henry could handle the hard work. "This job is not easy. It is heavy work from morning until evening." Henry smiled without fear. "I have worked my whole life. Give me one chance. If I cannot do the job, you do not have to pay me." The manager stayed silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "All right, you can start today." Henry thanked him with a bright smile. He put on his gloves and joined the other workers. Some of the younger men quietly laughed when they saw the old man carrying heavy wooden boards. One worker whispered to another, "He will probably quit before lunchtime." Henry heard the words but said nothing. He simply lifted another board onto his shoulder and kept walking. The long day had only just begun. The morning became warmer as the hours passed. Henry worked quietly beside the younger workers. He carried wood, cleaned the work area, and helped move tools from one place to another. His body became tired, but he never complained. The younger workers watched him with surprise. They expected him to stop after a short time, but Henry kept working with steady steps. Every task was finished with care. Around noon, everyone sat down to eat lunch. Some workers bought food from a nearby shop. Henry opened his small lunchbox. Inside were 2 sandwiches and 1 apple. It was a simple meal, but he smiled with gratitude. A young worker named Jake walked over and sat beside him. "You work harder than many people my age," Jake said. Henry smiled. "Hard work is not about age. It is about attitude." Jake nodded. He had never thought about life that way. After lunch, the manager called everyone together. A truck full of heavy bricks had arrived. The bricks needed to be unloaded before sunset. Many workers looked tired. Some quietly wished someone else would do the hardest jobs. Henry picked up the first stack without saying a word. Step by step, he carried the bricks across the site. His back hurt and his legs felt weak, but he refused to stop. Seeing the old man work so hard inspired the others. One by one, they joined him. Soon, everyone was working together. By late afternoon, the truck was empty. The manager looked around with a smile. Excellent work, everyone. Before leaving, he called Henry to his office. You proved me wrong today, the manager said. I thought you would not last a few hours. Instead, you became the best example for the whole team. Henry smiled gently. Thank you, sir. I only try to do my best every single day. The manager handed him his payment. You earned every dollar. Henry thanked him and carefully placed the money inside his wallet. As he walked home, the sky turned orange. He stopped at a small grocery store and bought bread, milk, eggs, and a little rice. He never spent money carelessly because he knew every dollar came from honest effort. When he reached his small house, he cooked a warm dinner and looked at the old family photo on the table. One day things will become better, he whispered. Outside, the stars slowly filled the night sky. Henry did not know that tomorrow would bring a surprise that could change his life forever. The next morning, Henry woke up before sunrise as usual. He washed his face, made a cup of coffee, and prepared a simple breakfast. After eating, he looked outside the window. The sky was clear and the air felt fresh. He picked up his backpack and started another day. When Henry arrived at the construction site, the manager greeted him with a smile. Good morning, Henry. I have a special job for you today. Henry listened carefully. A family needs help cleaning an old house on the other side of town. It is not as heavy as construction work, but it requires patience. I think you are the right person. Henry thanked the manager and walked to the address. The house was large but covered with dust. The yard was full of dry leaves and broken branches. An elderly woman opened the door. You must be Henry, she said with a kind smile. Yes, ma'am, I am here to help. For the next several hours, Henry cleaned every room with great care. He washed the windows, swept the floors, and repaired a broken wooden chair. He worked as if the house belonged to his own family. The woman watched him quietly. She noticed that Henry never rushed and never complained. When the work was finished, the house looked bright again. This is wonderful, she said. I have not seen my home this clean in years. She paid Henry and thanked him many times. As Henry prepared to leave, the woman asked one more question. Why do you still work so hard at your age? Henry smiled softly. Because honest work gives me dignity. As long as I can stand, I will continue to earn my living. The woman was deeply moved by his answer. Before Henry left, she handed him a small paper bag. Please take this. It is homemade bread. I baked it this morning. Henry accepted the gift with gratitude. Thank you. Your kindness means more than you know. As he walked home, he felt happy. The money would help him buy food, and the warm bread reminded him that good people still existed. That evening, while eating dinner, someone knocked on his front door. Henry opened it slowly. A young man stood outside holding an envelope. Good evening. Are you Mr. Henry Carter? Yes, I am. The young man smiled. I have an important message for you. Henry had no idea that the envelope in the young man's hand would begin a completely new chapter in his life. Henry invited the young man inside. The small house was simple but neat. A wooden table stood near the window, and a single lamp filled the room with warm light. The young man handed Henry the envelope. This was left at our office several days ago. We finally found your address. Henry thanked him and carefully opened it. Inside was a letter and a check. He slowly began to read. Dear Mr. Carter, Several people in town have spoken about your honesty and hard work. They said, you always help others without expecting anything in return. We believe people like you deserve respect. Please accept this small reward. We hope it makes your life a little easier. Henry looked at the check. It was more money than he normally earned in several weeks. His eyes became wet. He had never expected strangers to notice his efforts. The young man smiled. Many people admire you. Your story has inspired others to keep working hard. After the visitor left, Henry sat quietly for a long time. He could have spent the money on himself. Instead, he made a different decision. The next morning, he visited the grocery store. He bought rice, bread, vegetables, milk, and canned food. Then he filled several bags. An elderly neighbor lived alone just a few houses away. Henry knew she often struggled to buy enough food. He knocked on her door. When she opened it, Henry placed the bags on her porch. These are for you. The woman looked surprised. I cannot accept all this. Henry smiled. Please do. Everyone needs help sometimes. Tears filled the woman's eyes. Thank you. You are a truly kind man. Henry quietly walked away before she could say anything more. That afternoon, he returned to work. The manager noticed the smile on Henry's face. You look happier today. Henry nodded. Helping someone else is the best reward I have ever received. The manager smiled with respect. From that day, every worker looked at Henry differently. They no longer saw an old man. They saw a man whose character was stronger than his age. None of them knew that another unexpected opportunity was already waiting for Henry. A few days later, Henry arrived at the construction site before anyone else. The morning air was cool and quiet. He unlocked the storage room and arranged the tools so the workers could begin without delay. When the manager arrived, he smiled. You are always the first one here. Henry laughed softly. A good day starts with good preparation. Later that morning, a black truck stopped outside the site. A well-dressed businessman stepped out and watched the workers for several minutes. His name was Michael Brooks. He owned several companies across the state. Michael noticed something unusual. While everyone focused on their own tasks, Henry was helping everyone. He carried supplies for tired workers. He showed new workers how to use tools safely. He never asked for praise. Michael walked over to the manager. Who is that old man? That is Henry Carter. He is the hardest worker I have ever hired. Michael nodded. I would like to speak with him. Henry removed his gloves and greeted the visitor with a smile. Good morning, sir. Michael introduced himself. I have been watching you for a while. Your work is impressive, but your kindness is even more valuable. Henry thanked him. Michael continued, I am opening a new warehouse next month. I need someone honest to supervise the workers. The job is easier than construction, and the pay is much better. Henry stood silent for a moment. He had never imagined receiving an offer like this. Are you sure I am the right person? He asked. Michael smiled. Skills can be taught, character cannot. That is why I chose you. Henry accepted the offer with gratitude. Thank you. I will do my very best. The manager shook Henry's hand. You earned this opportunity. I am proud of you. As Henry walked home that evening, his heart was filled with hope. For the first time in many years, he believed his life was changing. He looked up at the bright evening sky and smiled. Sometimes the greatest rewards come after the hardest days. Henry did not know that his new job would soon bring him face to face with someone from his past who had disappeared many years ago. The following Monday, Henry started his new job at the warehouse. The building was large and busy. Workers moved boxes from one area to another while trucks arrived throughout the day. Michael welcomed Henry with a warm smile. This is your new team. They will be looking to you for guidance. Henry greeted every worker with kindness. He learned each person's name and listened carefully whenever someone had a question. Within a few days, the warehouse became more organized. Workers arrived on time and helped each other more often. They respected Henry because he never asked anyone to do a job that he would not do himself. One afternoon, a delivery truck stopped outside the warehouse. A new driver stepped out. Henry looked at the man's face and suddenly froze. The driver also stopped walking. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Then the man quietly said, "Dad." Henry could hardly believe his eyes. It was his son, Daniel. They had not seen each other for more than 15 years. Daniel slowly walked closer. "I never thought I would find you here." Henry smiled, but his eyes filled with tears. Life has a strange way of bringing people together. Daniel looked down with regret. "I made many mistakes. I stayed away for too long. I am sorry for everything." Henry placed a gentle hand on his son's shoulder. The past cannot be changed. What matters is what we do today. Daniel wiped away his tears. "Can you forgive me?" Henry smiled. A father's heart always has room for forgiveness. Daniel hugged his father tightly. Many workers watched the moment in silence. Even Michael felt deeply moved. That evening, father and son sat together in Henry's small house. They shared a simple dinner and talked for hours about the years they had lost. For the first time in a very long, while the little house was filled with laughter again, Henry looked at his son and quietly thanked God for giving him another chance to have his family back. Neither of them knew that an even greater blessing was waiting just around the corner. The weeks passed quickly. Daniel continued working as a truck driver and visited Henry every evening after work. They shared dinner, talked about life, and slowly rebuilt the bond they had lost. Henry was happier than he had been in many years. One afternoon, Michael asked Henry to come to his office. "Please have a seat, Henry." Henry smiled and sat down. Michael placed a folder on the desk. "Since you joined our company, the warehouse has improved in every way. The workers are more responsible, deliveries are on time, and customers are happier than ever." Henry listened quietly. Michael continued, "This success is because of your leadership. I want to reward you." He handed Henry the folder. Inside was a new work contract with a higher salary and full-time employment. Henry looked at the paper in surprise. "I do not know what to say." Michael smiled. "Just keep being yourself." Henry gladly accepted the offer. That evening, he shared the good news with Daniel. "Dad, this is amazing. You deserve every bit of it." Henry laughed softly. Hard work always finds its reward. Sometimes it just takes a little longer than we expect. The next weekend, Henry and Daniel repaired the old house together. They painted the walls, fixed the broken fence, and planted colorful flowers in the front yard. Neighbors stopped to admire the changes. "Your house looks beautiful," one neighbor said. Henry smiled. "It feels even better because my son helped me." Daniel felt proud to hear those words. As the sun began to set, they stood together in the yard. The old house no longer looked lonely. It had become a home once again. Neither Henry nor Daniel realized that the greatest test of their courage was about to arrive very soon. A few days later, a powerful storm swept across Green Valley. Heavy rain fell without stopping. Strong winds shook trees and damaged several homes. Many roads were covered with broken branches and debris. Early the next morning, Michael called Henry. "We need help at the warehouse. Part of the roof was damaged and several deliveries are at risk." Henry and Daniel arrived as quickly as they could. Rainwater had entered one side of the building. Workers were trying to move boxes to a dry area before they were ruined. Henry stayed calm. "Everyone follow me. Move the important supplies first." Work together and no one rush. The workers trusted him and followed his instructions. For hours they carried heavy boxes and covered valuable equipment with large plastic sheets. By the afternoon, the warehouse was safe. Michael looked around with relief. "We could have lost everything without your leadership," Henry smiled. "When people work as one team, every problem becomes smaller." On their way home, Henry and Daniel saw an elderly couple standing outside their damaged house. Part of the roof had collapsed. Without hesitation, Henry stopped. "We can help." The father and son spent the rest of the afternoon removing broken wood and covering the roof with a large waterproof tarp. The couple thanked them again and again. "You saved our home," the old man said. Henry simply smiled. "One day someone helped me. Today it is my turn to help someone else." That evening the storm finally ended. The clouds disappeared and bright stars filled the sky. Henry sat on the front porch with Daniel. "Life will always bring storms," he said, "but kindness, hope, and hard work help us through every one of them." Daniel nodded with a smile. He knew his father had taught him the greatest lesson of all. Neither of them realized that one final surprise would soon change their lives forever. Several weeks passed after the storm. The warehouse was fully repaired, and business became stronger than ever. Customers praised the company for its excellent service and reliable workers. One morning, Michael invited Henry and Daniel to a special meeting. They entered the office and found several company leaders waiting inside. Michael stood up with a smile. "Today is an important day." He looked at Henry. "When you joined this company, you brought more than hard work. You brought honesty, respect, and hope. Because of you, our workers became a family." Everyone in the room applauded. Michael handed Henry a small wooden box. "Please open it." Inside was a beautiful gold watch with Henry's name engraved on the back. Henry was speechless. "This is more than a gift," Michael said. "It is our way of saying thank you." Daniel smiled proudly as he watched his father accept the award. Then Michael made another announcement. "Starting next month, Daniel will become our full-time transportation manager." Daniel could hardly believe it. "Thank you for trusting me." Michael nodded. "Your father taught you well." After the meeting, Henry and Daniel walked outside together. The warm afternoon sun filled the streets with light. Henry looked at the watch on his wrist. "I never worked for rewards. I only wanted an honest life." Daniel smiled. "That is exactly why these rewards found you." As they walked through the town, many people greeted Henry with respect. Some waved from their shops. Others thanked him for helping them during difficult times. Henry realized that true wealth was not measured by money. It was measured by the lives he had touched with kindness and hard work. He felt happier than ever before. Only one more chapter remained in the story that had begun with a lonely old man searching for a simple job. 1 year later, life in Green Valley had changed in many wonderful ways. Henry still woke up before sunrise every morning. He still enjoyed a simple breakfast and a warm cup of coffee. Even though he no longer needed to work as hard as before, he continued to visit the warehouse every day. The workers welcomed him with smiles. Many of the younger employees asked Henry for advice. He always gave the same answer: work with honesty, treat people with kindness, never give up. His words inspired everyone. Daniel became an excellent transportation manager. He worked with dedication and often thanked his father for teaching him the true value of responsibility. Michael remained one of Henry's closest friends. Together they started a small program that offered jobs to older people who wanted to work but could not find employment. Many lives changed because of that simple idea. People who had once lost hope found confidence again. One sunny afternoon, the town held a community celebration. Families gathered in the park. Children laughed as they played. Music filled the air. The mayor invited Henry onto the stage. Everyone stood and applauded. The mayor smiled. Henry Carter showed us that age never limits a person with courage. Honest work, kindness, and perseverance can change both a life and a community. Henry thanked everyone for their support. He looked across the crowd and saw Daniel, Michael, neighbors, friends, and many people whose lives had crossed his path. His heart was full of gratitude as the sun slowly set behind the hills. Henry smiled peacefully. He had started his journey with empty pockets, but a strong heart. In the end, he discovered that the greatest success was never money. It was earning respect, helping others, and leaving the world a little better than he found it. The end.